Welcome to another GoldMine 101, our regular series of short presentations giving you hints and tips for getting the most out of GoldMine CRM. And in this session, I'm going to cover the differences between filters and groups in GoldMine. And why would you use one over the other? It's not going to be a session in depth on how do I create a filter, how do I create groups, but just really the difference. I'm assuming that most people present here are fairly active GoldMine users, and you will know the differences, or certainly how to create one or the other, or both. So hello, I'm Tim Wilmot, and my company, Wizard Systems, we are a specialist CRM solutions provider. We primarily help out small and mid-sized organizations to improve their sales productivity, marketing, and customer service with the use of simple and affordable solutions like GoldMine. So this presentation will be about 10 minutes or so, just really an overview of the differences between filters and groups. Not meant to be in-depth training on how do I create filters and groups, as I said already. And my company, Wizard Systems, we can provide any kind of in-depth training should you need that in more detail on these features and anything else in GoldMine. Now, the audio part of this presentation is one way only. So those of you on here live, good morning to you. If you've got any questions, please type those into the question box on your meeting control panel, and I'll do my best to answer those at the end. I will also give you an update on GoldMine product news as well, just to keep you in the loop with advancements in GoldMine. And this call is being recorded after the presentation. You will get an email from our system. It might take about 24 hours. I've put in a little bit of a lead time or a little bit of a delay before that goes out. And also, it will be up on our YouTube channel as well. If you go up to YouTube and do a search for Wizard Systems, you'll see loads and loads, well over 100 videos on GoldMine on different topics around GoldMine. Okay, just a very, very brief mention about us. I think those of you on here live do know of us and what we do and where we are, but we're a leading provider of GoldMine and other CRM solutions. We provide the total service around GoldMine, the product, upgrades, if you're interested in upgrades, any kind of implementation, installation help, training. Training can be at your place or our place or online, whichever's convenient for you. And ongoing support as well. We've got a permanently manned help desk here ready to assist you if you get stuck. Okay, filters versus groups then. So the filters feature in GoldMine, and 9 times out of 10, when you want to create a list in GoldMine, most of the time you're going to be using filters, okay? And as we all know, the filters feature in GoldMine allows you to segment the data in your system based on specific criteria, like it could be lead source, it could be the type of contact or market sector, location, or any combination of those as well. Basically, it's creating lists on your main contact data, all right? The top half of your screen, and also the fields tab if you've got that as well. So it's basic, GoldMine being a contact-centric system, it's focusing on those aspects of your database. And filters and indeed groups, they're going to be really useful for doing lots of other things in GoldMine. Just apart from creating that list, it can be important for a marketing campaign, some kind of sales outreach or sales campaign, certain database actions. You want to do a global replace, you want to replace A with B over this range of records, or loads of other different business activities I could think of. So overall, the filters feature in GoldMine helps you save time and increase efficiency by allowing you to quickly and easily access the data that you need to work on, that you need to home in on. Now, filters are referred to. Let me just go to the filters menu. So we access filters and groups primarily through that tools menu there, filters and groups. So filters are referred to as being dynamic. So we've got dynamic and static, just to be a little bit technical. So filters are often referred to as being, they're working in a dynamic way with GoldMine. That means that when we create a filter, say on job title, contains director, something like that, every time we use that filter, it will gather together all the director contacts in our system, even those newly created records that we might have just added to the system after creating the filter. So every time we use this filter, dynamically, it's sort of refreshing itself and giving us the latest information. Whereas groups, on the other hand, groups you would quite often use not as frequently as filters, but groups are referred to as static, not dynamic, they're static. So once we create them, it's kind of recorded in stone who these people are that match your particular criteria. Now, groups can be created manually, or more often than not, they're created from a filter that you've already created, all right? And indeed, you can create a group also from an SQL query. We've handled SQL queries on our 101 sessions before. And also tagging records as well, sort of ad hoc way of tagging records. Now, once the group is saved, once you've created that group, it remains static, and it doesn't automatically add in new contacts to it. So if you'd created a group based on, like my example, it was a filter and it was job title contains director, it's not gonna, it's because it's static, it won't know all those newly created records. So you have to, one of the little things you need to be aware of with groups is you need to, if you create a group already, because it's static, you need to add people to it, which is quite easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's really easy to do. But you need to be aware that it's static. It doesn't automatically update as new data is added or changed in your system. Okay. Now, for example, you could create a group of contacts who've purchased. I mean, another example, you could create a group of contacts who purchased a specific product. Maybe you're tracking product sales in your GoldMine database, maybe on one of the tabs, and GoldMine will not automatically update that group based on new customer purchases. You've got to manually edit the group or add them or remove contacts and start again if you want to bring in all of the newly added contacts. And that sort of brings me to another difference between groups and filters, in that groups allows you to create lists based on additional areas in GoldMine. It goes to areas of GoldMine that filters won't reach. For example, the bottom tabs in GoldMine, details, pending, history, to some extent the links as well. They are basically transactional data in GoldMine. We've got one record up here, Tim Wilmot, but we've got multiple detail records, multiple pending records, multiple history records. There's a one-to-many relationship there, and details allows you to create information based on those areas. So those bottom tabs, details, pending history, typically they would be examples where you would be wanting to create a list of data. Maybe, for example, a group of everyone. If I go through a group creation here, create new group, and we give it a name. Click OK. So we've got here scheduled completed activities. This allows us to basically home in on activities in GoldMine. So, for example, if we wanted to create a list of all of user Fred's calls over a range of dates, bringing in all of the contact records that Fred had a call with over that range of dates, that's typically what a group would be used for, and filters can't do that sort of thing. All right, so other things that you might want to use a group for would be using it with certain other applications. Some marketing applications will only work with groups. So some, for example, Constant Contact and also IntelliClick, they will require you to create groups for doing some kind of mailing with them. The other difference another difference of groups versus filters could be speed. Now, on a larger database, and well, GoldMine is very efficient. It's a very fast system. But if you're running on a slow server or you've got a slow connection, then using filters in a larger database with a complex filter could be slower than using a group. It's back to this static versus dynamic thing. With filters being dynamic, once you use the filter, once you activate that filter, use the filter, GoldMine has to. So GoldMine is at a particular starting point in the database, and it has to analyze as it goes through the database, one record by record. It's kind of analyzing whether that record meets the criteria of your filter. And if not, it then goes to the next record and so on. Now that happens in a nanosecond, but over a massive database, it might be a little bit slow. Whereas groups could be faster on a large database. So if you find your filter is working really slow, convert it to a group. Okay, create a group based on that filter. Because groups, go back that static thing, it knows already who the members are in that database. And you can go to the members tab of a contact record to see what groups that particular contact record is a member of and add them in there. So it knows who these people are. It's going to work lightning fast for you. So there we are, a quick run through of filters versus groups. To say most of the time you will be using filters for creating your lists. But hopefully that's giving you a little bit of an indication why you would use one over the other and the benefits of one over the other as well. Okay, so as we normally do, if there's any questions around this topic or indeed any other burning goldmine questions you've got for me, I'd be happy to answer those of you on here live. Chandler is asking, how do you tag records? Okay, so tagging records, basically when you're searching for records using the Contact Search Center, there's a little checkbox that allows you to basically click on them, and if you hold down your control button, you can click multiple tagged records. So it's just kind of an ad hoc way of selecting records, tagging records. Josh, can we share filters between us? Yes, you can. So all of these filters and groups, you can share them if you want to. The default is that you can share them. When you go to filters, it should default to you as your username, and there will be a user drop-down list on that dialog box, on that little window that comes up, and that allows you to select another user if you've been allowed to. Yeah, quite easy to share filters, one that someone else has created, and use that filter if you want to. Billy, what is the lookup wizard I saw on your menu? The lookup wizard on that tools menu, that's basically accessing it's just a simple way of accessing SQL queries. Now, SQL queries is a third way of creating lists in GoldMine. So we've got filters, we've got groups, and we've got SQL queries. You are unless you're doing something quite sophisticated or really clever in GoldMine, you're unlikely to be using SQL queries. But they can be quite useful to know of them. And being a sort of techie type thing in GoldMine, it's been made, the way of accessing it is being made a little bit easier on the tools menu by using the lookup wizard. It will just take you down through a sequence of screens to basically build an SQL query. All right. So this SQL query thing is just a database language to do, as I say, more sophisticated searches and creating more sophisticated lists in GoldMine. That's what that one is. We have actually handled that on one of our previous 101 sessions. Maybe we should revisit that. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. Thanks very much for those. Latest news for you. We recently announced on our GoldMine blog. Please subscribe to our GoldMine blog. That's the main way of getting GoldMine news. We do send out emails on major releases of GoldMine, but please subscribe to our GoldMine blog, where we do announce GoldMine product news and any issues or new add-ons to GoldMine or tips and tricks. In fact, there's hundreds of tips and tricks up there that aren't documented in GoldMine. So please go up there. Just do a Google search, or using your favorite browser, do a search for Wizard Systems GoldMine blog, and you'll find us up there. So latest release is 2023.2. So 2023 is the main version of GoldMine, and then we get these little hot fixes. So we're on number 2 now, and through the year we'll get these hot fixes coming out. Not every month, but most months there will be a hot fix with fixes and maybe some new features to GoldMine, but mainly compatibility fixes and improvements to the application. So that's the latest one there. You've got to be on a maintenance contract to get these updates, and please contact us if you don't have any maintenance. If you are doing any upgrades, please check, as a basic checklist for you, please check your current version by going to help and about. You will be able to get your, if you are prompted for any new serial numbers, you'll have to access that via your entry to the Avanti Success Portal. Please contact us for details on that, and review the migration steps with us, please, if you are going to do it yourself, or let us do it for you. Because you need to, there are a few things you do need to check. If you've got any add-ons to GoldMine, if you've done any custom integrations with GoldMine, we want to make sure we check all those before you go on to new release. So make sure you've got that kind of checklist in mind before doing any update, or consult us if you've got any queries. That's it then for this session. Filters versus groups, main differences, and why would you use one over the other. Thanks very much for those of you watching live or listening live, and thanks very much for watching this if you're seeing this as a recording. If you've got any suggestions, if you're a GoldMine user and you've got any suggestions for future topics, please let me know. Tim Wilmot, tim@wizard-systems.com. But thanks very much for attending this morning on our short event, and we'll catch up with you soon on the next event. Thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye.